Welcome, everyone. I'm interviewing Alina Mika from Poland, who is the second prize ex-aequo for the Global Ethics and Trust in Finance for a Sustainable Future. The award happened a couple of weeks earlier. We had a fascinating time as a jury to read all these very highly motivating essays. And it really is a pleasure for me personally as co-president of this jury. I'm also in my day job, let's say, I'm responsible for regulatory outreach, and so I'm always interested in these topics that look at ethics and behavioral and into financial markets. I work for CFA Institute, and so this is a key concern of ours. Alina, when we look at your essay, which is called The Ethics of Sustainable Investing, now you touch on two subjects which are key in today's world: ethics and sustainable investing. Sustainability has taken on almost a revolution since back in 2015, when the EU really launched, almost with a small phrase, as part of its CMU action plan, sustainability, and it then became like a front runner. What motivated you to to do this essay? Why did you choose this topic? And also to talk about really the ethical issues of sustainable investing.
So firstly, thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with you. And thank you very much to the Observatoire again for the award and for organizing all of this. I work as an economist at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and my work very much focuses on maximizing the impact of the EBRD's sustainable investments and other activities. And this kind of multilateral development bank perspective has been the primary lens through which I have been viewing sustainable investing. And I really saw the essay as an opportunity to sort of deepen my knowledge of the much larger sustainable investing universe. And I thought it would be quite interesting to do some stock taking of the vast sustainable investing universe. I mean, what are the different sustainable investment strategies? What motivates the strategies? And quite crucially, from an ethics point of view, how good sustainable investing actually is. I view sustainable investing as a tool which can help us mitigate some of the problems of our times. I mean, of course, it's not panacea, but it is a useful tool. So for this reason, I was quite keen in this essay to organize my thoughts about how effective it is and how effective it can be and when.
It's always difficult to talk about ethics. Some people say, you know, ethics is ingrained in us. We shouldn't even talk about it. It's all about business conduct, and sustainability has incorporated into it the very heart of, let's say, ethics. I'm not so sure. I think it is absolutely necessary to talk about ethics when we look at sustainable investing. I mean, you know, probably, and I'm going to take you back to your own life experience going through school and university. Do you think there was enough talk about ethics? And do you think that now as an adult, you know, this is why you're focusing exactly on it, where, I mean, sustainability investing is really almost revolutionary. It's going to impact the world. It needs to impact the world if we're going to survive. We need to understand the finality of our system. So maybe, you know, taking a look at your own life, where do you think this consciousness on ethics came from?
I think it definitely didn't come from primary school or secondary school, because, as you say, there's very little ethics education in those years. But I think in my case, quite crucial to my development in thinking around these topics was my time spent doing the International Baccalaureate at so I was quite lucky, and when I was 17, I got to attend a United World College school, which is a group of international schools which very much focuses on sustainability, on youth leadership, on kind of as the mission statement says, making education a force for a sustainable future. So for me, those years were really quite crucial in shaping my views around this topic.
I know the United World Colleges, and I think indeed they are stimulating. They force you to think outside your box, and I think that that's really crucial. I wish every single school had that challenge, because I think your generation certainly needs it, facing all the different problems we have. So in my second question, I'm going to ask you, why do you think that a large part of sustainable investments don't necessarily lead to good sustainable outcomes?
I think, in short, it's because most of the sustainable investing universe is not actually focused on creating the most sustainable outcomes. So consider the sustainable investing universe as a spectrum, where on one end you have strategies focused on making the best financial returns, so most closely resembling kind of traditional investing. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have approaches and strategies most closely resembling philanthropy, where the focus is on making an impact. So based on data from the Global Sustainable Investment Alliance, 2/3 or around 2/3 of sustainable investments globally are focused on only two strategies. And both of these strategies are on this traditional investing side of the spectrum. So the two most popular sustainable investing strategies globally are negative screening and ESG integration. Negative screening is a strategy whereby an investor actively chooses to avoid specific sectors, and hence they prioritize avoiding doing harm as opposed to actively creating the most impact. And the second strategy is ESG integration, where an investor incorporates ESG information and data in their investment decisions. And here, the stated intention, as we read from many of the investors, is really about financial returns. It's again not about making an impact. In contrast, sustainable investing strategies focused on impact, so more on this end of the spectrum, are just much less popular. And it's things like impact investing and thematic investing, which account for a couple of percent of sustainable investment assets. So yeah, I think, in my view, we're not necessarily creating the kinds of sustainable outcomes we could be hoping for, because we're not focused on creating these sustainable outcomes.
So, Alina, when we look at the type of approach that finance professionals should take to achieve positive outcomes in their sustainable investments, what ideas can you give them? Do you think that increasing shareholder engagement is one of the tools, for example? A lot of people talk about sort of far more engaging and some of the issues and sort of stakeholder capitalism as well. Do you think that that could be a help? What other issues could you see?
So, quite generally, in my essay, I argued that a consequentialist mindset is crucial among sustainable investors. And this mindset suggests that the ultimate decision whether a given action is right depends on the outcomes of that action. It's not about the virtues or intentions, but it's about the outcomes. And following this mindset, I would like to make, I think, two main points here. And the first one is that we need to work on maximizing the impact of many of the existing sustainable investing strategies, the most popular ones. And I mean here ESG integration in particular, as it is currently the most popular sustainable investing strategy globally. And I think for ESG integration to be effective, we need reliable and comparable data, including ESG metrics. And I know that ESG metrics can be, very multifaceted. It's very hard to convey something so complex as an approach to sustainability in a number or in a couple of numbers. But yet we did manage to do this for metrics of financial performance, so which in the end became, companies' credit scores. And credit scores, unlike ESG metrics, are currently highly correlated when provided for the same company by different data providers, and ESG metrics are not. And two, aside from kind of maximizing the impact of the existing strategies, I do think we need some broader reorientation to impact. Also along the lines of what you've been saying, more engagement with from shareholders, and move towards this more stakeholder capitalism kind of point of view. And I think I think in order to have a shot at really using sustainable finance as more than just a search for financial returns, but really using it as a way to help us tackle some of the problems that we face, I think we need to be a lot more intentional about creating an impact. And impact cannot just be a byproduct of return-seeking investments. I mean, things like climate change. I mean, climate change it's a systemic problem, and I do not think we can solve it by slightly tweaking the status quo of the shareholder capitalism that we have now. I think we need a more systemic reorientation towards a more consequentialist way of thinking, so towards outcomes and impact generation.
We need a revolution, in short. And revolutions are painful, but revolutions cut to the quick. And it seems to me, following COP26 conclusions, that we're still very much in the long term, and that we need to focus on the short term, and that really is going to involve some pain. You mentioned data, you mentioned stakeholder capitalism. I think those can really help. I think data with the European single access point will be really crucial if that can kickstart quickly. So let us hope. I think the signals are there, but we all need to participate in this revolution. And you have done this with your essay. I really have enjoyed it very much. I hope you stay within the alumni of this fantastic prize. It's really rewarding. I'm sure it's going to have an effect on your further life. It does tend to do that. And stay in touch. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you again, Alina.
Thank you very much.